Hello friends, viewers, students and subscribers. Welcome back to OFFBEAT GYAN and the next video in the Simplifying Trevelyan series, which is based on Simplifying Trevelyan's English Social History. So I have titled this video as Life in Elizabethan England Part 3. So this is the last video that will deal with life in Elizabethan England, and this video will talk about drama and William Shakespeare. As you all know, there are many forms of literature. There is poetry, there is prose, there is fiction, and there is drama. Drama was the most popular and dominant form of literature which was prevalent in Elizabethan England. And the man who strode this era like a giant, like a colossus, was William Shakespeare. The man who turned everything he touched into pure gold. So let's begin this video on drama in Elizabethan England. The most important form of literature during the Elizabethan period was drama. And the most famous and popular exponent, the master who excelled at it, was William Shakespeare. Shakespeare wrote his plays in verse form because the people of Elizabethan England loved to tell stories, listen to stories, narrate historical events, and provide news and information through poetry. So, Elizabethan drama or Shakespearean drama was something that blended performance and verse. And the period that is known as Elizabethan England in social history is known as Shakespearean literature in terms of history of English literature. So, coming back to Shakespeare and drama, the Elizabethan audience did not like the Senecan brand of ancient classical Roman drama because they wanted performances, they wanted action on stage. They did not want to hear the narration of events. They wanted pomp and splendor. They wanted murder, comedy, romance, everything happening right in front of them. They wanted to see it all. And Shakespeare was someone who absolutely captured the pulse, the imaginative pulse of the people of his time. He wrote not just for one class or group of people. His plays were so popular, continue to be popular, continue to attract so much attention, so much research even today because he catered to all types of audience. And that is what is so special about William Shakespeare. So the Elizabethan audience wanted pomp and pageant. They wanted splendor. They wanted good, witty, passionate scenes and dialogues. They wanted to laugh and cry. They wanted to experience everything when they were in the theatre. And Shakespeare was the one who provided them with all of it in abundant doses. They wanted actions to be performed on stage. So Shakespeare threw the unity of time, place and action to the winds in the sense that his dramas moved from Athens to Vienna to Venice to England, and the time, it actually went on for quite a long period of time. It was not restricted to events which happened in one particular day. And Shakespeare wrote for the rich and poor alike. Another thing that you have to remember is during the Elizabethan period or during Shakespearean period, the roles of the women characters were performed by young boys, 13, 14-year-old boys who were very trained, who were very well trained and skilled in their acting. Their voices had not yet broken, that is, the masculinity had not come up in their voice, and they were the ones who used to perform the roles of all the women characters who peopled Shakespeare's variety of plays. Coming to the next bit on Shakespearean theatre, the physical structure of the Shakespearean theatre. It was made of wood and it was O-shaped, and there used to be 3 tiers or galleries, and people who had the money to buy the tickets, they used to sit in these galleries, and those were the only covered part of the Elizabethan or Shakespearean theatre. So people who sat in the covered, tired galleries, they were protected from the elements. They were protected from exposure to rain and sun. And if you see in the picture, you find there is a round shaped pit right in front of the stage. The stage thrusted into the audience, and that place in front of the stage, that was known as the pit, where the groundlings or the underprivileged used to stand and watch the play. They could not sit. In fact, they had to actually strain their heads up, and they had to uh, look up to what was happening on the stage. So when Shakespeare wrote his plays, he wrote not only for those who sat in the covered galleries, he wrote also for the groundlings. So there was an adequate supply, ample supply of body jokes and conversation and dialogues in Shakespearean plays, which would be caught on by the groundlings so that they would enjoy. In fact, there used to be these lively exchanges between the audience standing in front of the stage and the actors on stage. So Shakespearean performances during that time must have been a very lively entertainment for people who came there to watch the plays happening. The kind of drama that was perfected by William Shakespeare, that he excelled at, was actually created by the university wits, people like Christopher Marlowe, Thomas Nash, Kidd, and others. They had gone to Cambridge or Oxford, and unlike Shakespeare, who had never been to a university other than the University of Life, so they were the ones who understood the pulse of the audience. They realized that the Elizabethan audience did not want to watch the Senecan tragedies. They wanted pomp and splendor. Now, they created the stage which was perfected by William Shakespeare, which was turned to pure gold by William Shakespeare. He became a master of this type of drama. So these dramas, they were performed during daytime. Nighttime performances were not possible because there were no floodlights, and there was no stage scenery, no curtain, and the front part of the stage was open. Rich people sat in the covered galleries, protected from the rain and the sun, and the groundlings or the less privileged, they stood in front of the stage, exposed to the sun and the rain. So here you have two pictures. In one picture you have the empty theatre. So this gives you an idea about the covered galleries, the O shape of the theatre, which was made of wood, the stage which was covered partially, and the other one has a live performance. It is the picture of a live performance going on, where you have people standing in the pit and people sitting in the galleries. So most of these dramas were performed by traveling drama companies, and these drama companies were actually sponsored by noblemen and the members of the aristocracy, rich people, and the authorities did not want the theatres to come up inside the city. So these theatres were located on the opposite side, on the opposite banks of the Thames River, in the place called, in the region called Southwark. And people had to travel across the river to watch the performances, which happened during daytime, sometime in the later part of the afternoon. And there was no curtains, no lights, and there was the only structure that you find on the stage was a balcony. For example, the very famous romantic balcony scene in Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, where you have Juliet standing on the balcony and conversing with, having a very romantic conversation with Romeo, who is standing below in the garden. And the change of scenery, there was no background scenery, no backdrop. So the change of scenery was actually indicated by someone walking onto the stage with a placard indicating that this is Athens, or this is Vienna, or this is Venice. And the audience had to imagine, okay, the action has shifted from Athens, it has shifted to Vienna or Venice or Cyprus or wherever the playwright Shakespeare wanted to take them to. We come to the last picture of this presentation. You have here a sketch of the Elizabethan performance, and you can see people holding on to the edge of the stage and watching the performance going on. There are people sitting in the gallery, and watching the performance. In fact, members of the aristocracy, they used to sometimes sit on the stage itself on stools and watch the performance happening. And there used to be this lively conversation or exchange of dialogues happening between the the groundlings and the actors on stage. So Elizabethan theatre or Shakespearean theatre must have been a very lively experience. And with that, I conclude this presentation on life in Elizabethan England, which focuses on drama and William Shakespeare. So if you like the kind of content that I make, then please do subscribe to Offbeat Gyan. And my next video is on life in England during the period of King James I and King Charles I. So thank you, stay safe and take care.